Okay, let me get everyone up to speed with exactly everything that has been done. I did the edges, I shaped it all up, test fitted it on and off, and then put a little bit of angle on the plastic there. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can. Kind of, you see the angle there, but so everything sits flush, and you see everything I had to cut, but it fits. See how it fits? Fits real nice. So that is completely finished right here. The next thing I need to go ahead and do is make the LED board, right? Now, I know I didn't record any of this, but I'm just going to walk you through all of it. I got some perforated board for like circuit making and all that. To be honest, this is my first time ever making a LED board or brake light, whatever. So to be honest, I just did a whole bunch of research and been applying the knowledge and, you know, just learning. Got the board right there, very inexpensive, but it came all in one board. To break it, I looked online. People said to make a score in it with like a razor or just, I don't know how to explain it, just a score, a line through it, right? I went over it a few times to make sure it'll break in the proper place, but still I had a few little hiccups. But it's not a problem. Now you don't want to cut it unless you have like a full mask, like filtered mask. You don't want to use a dust mask because it's made out of fiberglass and copper, so the fiberglass goes in the air. You're using a Dremel, and it goes in your lungs, and it just makes havoc for your lungs. I had another board just like this, like the same size, right? But to make the template, I went ahead and used cardboard. As you can see here, it fits right in. And one thing I noticed that I messed up on, because I broke the board first before making the template, which was a mistake, and now the edges don't exactly sit all the way flush. But I mean, it shouldn't really be a problem. I'm just going to go ahead and make this board. If I mess up or it doesn't come out the exact way I'm thinking it does, I could always make another one. So I'm not really tripping right now. I mean, it's still, I don't even know, a couple of dollars of material here, and I believe like under $60. So it should be all good. So I made the template. Then I translated it onto the board with the Sharpie, and then I got my Dremel and I started, you know, shaping it up, fitting it on and off onto the housing here. And so what I came up with, kind of already started a little bit on the soldering and stuff, but I'm going to talk about that too. So what I came up with was this. Now I painted the front side black. I'm getting a little bit of coloring coming off here, but painted it black. The back side is the copper, and it fits pretty good. I actually had to make it smaller than my template. Let me see, let me just put it backwards. See, because I had to make the board right underneath this line, because when the plexiglass goes down, it takes some of that space here, sitting here, and then it takes more space while it's going down. So gotta go ahead and make that clearance for it. You're going to see exactly how I do the wiring, but right here I'm going to show you. Like I said, this is my first time working with LEDs, anything like that. Now I went on to a website. I was looking on a few YouTube videos on exactly how to do the LED board, setting everything up. I came across a channel called Illumisthetic and a couple of other people, but Illumisthetic kind of led me in the direction. They use a website called LED Array Wizard, and it tells you exactly what type of resistor you're going to need for how many rows you're doing. Now I messed up here because you can't line them up like that, and reason is because electricity is going to travel through the place that has the less resistance. So it was just lighting up like the first and the last one in the circuit, because it's skipping all the other ones and just jumping right across. But I'm not going to get into much about this here because I think you guys could do your own research on that. I'm going to go ahead and take these LEDs off, and so I could restart on the board. I'm probably going to paint it again and you know, just touch up, and then I'll start back onto the LED. I don't know if I showed it on the camera or not, but basically it's just going to be LEDs around the edges, you know. So I'm hoping for, well, what I would like is for the covering and everything to be on there, and behind the covering you see the outline of the brake light, which may or may not come out exactly how I'm thinking because the frosted plexiglass will disperse the light, but hopefully you still see the ring of the light. Right, so here's what the LED is pretty much going to be looking like. I haven't soldered anything up yet, but that's how it's going to look. You see how I want the outline to come out. We'll see how it comes out exactly, and if not, you know, later on I might do a redesign and come up with something a little different. But for now, this is what I'm going to come up with. Wanted to mention the LEDs I'm using are from Super Bright LEDs, and there's the part number right there. The resistors I'm using is just like your generic set of resistors. Just repainted this board, and it's all good. And you're really not going to see it, but the reason why I painted it black is just so, because before it was white and I don't want like a reflection, so I want like a dark inner housing of the brake light. It's pretty dry, it's pretty hot out here. I had it sitting out here. I put tape on it so it wouldn't get any paint on the back, and that's from the LEDs when I took them off. It's all good though, it'll still work. And the paint I use for this is the same paint I use for interior, SEM or SEM color coat interior paint. And there it is, there's the color. It really spot on with the, especially like the Honda black. So if you guys trying to make a repair on some plastic or something and need some paint, highly recommend this and nothing else. Alright guys, so here are the LEDs, the first 5. I'm doing them in groups of 5. To be honest, I really don't need this board. Like, I like it because it's fiberglass, but I don't need the board to run any electricity because I need every positive touching a negative. Basically what I'm doing, the reason why I have these the leads staying up here, because I'm going to run separate wire into the power source. One of the strips is going to be a power source, so I'm going to get like some insulated wire I have, and I just jump it to, like, let's say one of the strips is power, just jump it to the next little strip so it gets some power. And the same for the negative. The strip to me for the LEDs is pretty much useless. And so this one would be negative, then positive connecting to the negative. If I could point with the soldering iron, that one to the negative, and then the other side would be positive and positive to that negative, and then that negative into the other positive, coming out the negative. And then we have the resistor, so we got the 5, and then it's just running to the positive, so positive is touching negative on its way out. And since I have this board, I have to separate the positive touching the other negatives and really just make it run through its little maze so all the LEDs get powered. And it's just tedious work, really. And like I said, this is my first time doing this, like making lights or whatever. Alright, so this is extremely frustrating. This is all I have for now. I had to take one out because burned a bulb because it was jumping somehow. But I decided to just start on the other side because I'm a little frustrated. But in between, I don't know if you see, I cut so the positive and negative don't touch. So I have to separate that. And also separate the positive and negative from touching all the way on the other side of the board. Still got to cut that one. Separate each bulb, positive and negative, and put them over. Like I said, I don't really need this board next time. I just need a perforated board, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so here we have the LED board all soldered up. That's how it looks. Looks real clean. So I made all the lines first where the lights would be at, and then with the razor blade I went ahead and went through the copper. After I made those lines, I tested it to make sure they still weren't connected. I did it with the multimeter, testing for like ohms for the resistance, and so that's just making sure they're not touching. Then I'll put the LEDs in, solder them in at the base so they're not moving around. After I did that, I tested for ohms again to make sure they're not jumping across on the board, and there'll be no, I wouldn't burn any more bulbs or anything. Throughout the whole thing I burned like 2 bulbs. Connected the positive to negative, the leads, and again made sure there was no jumping across of any kind, you know. But I had to keep doing that because it's so small, it looks like it's separated, like the lines, and then when you test it on the multimeter it's still touching, so I'll go over it again and just make sure nothing is touching and we won't have any more burnt bulbs. Once again, blind, I was blinded, and I don't see. Once You guys saw me working on the LED board, and so here's the LED board now. I had to take everything off because after I had the LEDs on, the lens wouldn't fit anymore. So it was either try to make a new lens or make a new LED board, because with the LEDs on it, it wouldn't fit because the LEDs are poking out. We got this, right? And the LED board is supposed to sit right in here. It makes the clearance as is with the board. Now, it was my mistake for misjudging, well, not even thinking about the LEDs sticking out, and after a little bit of wiring, it maybe pushes out a little bit more. But the LEDs poke out, obviously, right, when it's on the board. So when I try put on the covering, no matter if it's the covering I made or if it's the OEM covering. So the lens right here, so when I would try to put it on, right, it wouldn't sit flush how it's supposed to. So if I try to put this on here and put it down, it wouldn't come down because it's hitting the LEDs. But now with the new board I made, finally finished, just gotta go ahead and light everything up. But I tested everything, as I said in the other vid, in the other segment, about testing everything with the multimeter, looking for resistance and ohms. Nothing is touching, everything is done correctly, and it should just light right up. Now I took off the wiring from the original housing. So the original housing had 2 power wires because it has 2 bulbs, and then it had the ground just making a Y onto it. I just needed 1 ground, so I cut it off, and then I soldered it, put some heat shrink on there, and made 1 ground, and de-pinned one of the power wires, which would go right there. And now I just need 1, obviously, to light up the whole board, but it should plug up just as factory. But there it is. Now I got groups of 5 All of them are actually groups of 5 and one group of 2. Now there are, let me see, 10, 20, 42 LEDs on this board. But this definitely gave me a lot of confidence in myself. And it sucked that I had to make the other board and then not even use it. See, the difference is I had to cut it about two down, I don't know, 2 little holes down, 2 rows down, and just so it would all fit. But there it is right there. In total, it probably took me another 6 hours to make this one, and on this one I probably spent, I don't even know, maybe 10 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and step on the brakes. There it is, super bright. Looks real good, exactly what I wanted. Check it out. You're able to see this from the window a little bit, and it looks kind of faded. I don't really like how it looks, a little scratched up. So I got some maroon Scotch-Brite. Gonna hit it with the Scotch-Brite, then paint it with the SEM interior paint. First coat is on. Gonna give it 15 minutes or so before I put the second coat. See how it looks? It looks real stock, and it's as if I put a shine to it, a little bit of shine to it also, and glue in the backside as well. And it's pretty sturdy in there. Can't wiggle it. Well, here's the LED already glued in. See it right there. It's crazy bright, man. I wish y'all could see it in person. But I put on, gonna go ahead and put on the frosted plexiglass and see how it looks. Here we have the plexiglass. See how it, in the bottom, it disperses the light because it's farther away from the plexiglass, and it's not giving me the look I want, you know, the look I'm going for. I mean, it looks cool nonetheless, but not really what I'm aiming for. Let's take a look at the red lens. It's not all the way on because I haven't snapped it in. That's how it's looking. To me, this looks way better, to be honest. And you can see the ring around, you know, it's not dispersing it as much as the plexiglass. You can still kind of see individual LEDs, which is what I didn't want. But I mean, to be honest, this ain't bad at all. Might just leave this one on and call it a day. Got the third brake light mounted up here. A little bit more of a modification on the sunroof. Had to cut this piece of metal that was sticking out and have this here. So I had to cut that off, and also cut a little bit of metal here off the side in order to get this bolt in. It's a little bit of a pain. You have to grab onto this part right here, pull back, and so you could get enough room for the bolt and a socket to go in there, tighten it. This one's pretty easy right there, and that's pretty much it. But you do have to take off the motor to gain some access to put the third brake light up. There it is. The cover will be covering up, obviously, but it fits like stock. Okay, and here it is, lit up. Perfect. Exactly what I wanted. From about, and these cars aren't really high cars too. So I'm about 5'9", and this is from my eye level. And that's what I'm saying. We go a little bit down,
more towards my chest level. Exactly the look I wanted. See the look right there? You get that little ring around there. It looks perfect if you guys ask me. Way brighter than the taillights, for sure. If y'all wonder how much of a lame I am and no friends, I had to use a piece of wood and move the seat forward in order to get that shot for y'all. Back with this rear headliner panel, I tried fitting it on and the epoxy broke away from the plastic, but it was real hard on the metal. I couldn't even take it off. So then I got some more epoxy that's meant for plastic instead, and I put it here at the base, and it should be fully cured. Hopefully it grabs on real good. Another problem I was having was, well, why the epoxy actually came off is because the plastic is still pretty stiff. So that's why you see I took out like the inner structure, went with the razor blade and took off all of this where you see like the white. If I could go back, I probably wouldn't do this area right here, but I would still do the rest. And also cut these down just a tad bit, because to me it felt like they were hitting the top. So just cut those down. But cutting the inner structure allows it to be a little bit more pliable, like to bend around some of the curves that it's hitting on the sunroof. And for a third brake light cover, just cut these down a little bit, these tabs, as well as the rear. I actually lost the clip, it's somewhere inside the car, but I'll find it eventually. But for now I'm just going to put it on with these two clips on. Okay, so here we are. Just ignore the music in the background, my neighbors. But here we are, all bolted up. And like I said, I'm missing a clip right here, so it's not fully in. But it's pretty much in there for the most part. There it is from the inside. And here we are with the sunroof open. You know, the next step in this that I would like to do, I would have to teach myself, is how to make a headliner. And I have to do some research on it, but I'm pretty sure I could get it done and probably do a one full piece, so it'll be covering everything here, and you don't have to have all these little modifications. But that'll be sometime in the future, when I have time and money to play with on these things. And the other thing that bothers me is those little cracks in the lens. I would still like to do a custom lens on it, but again, it'll be sometime in the future. Alright guys, so there you have it, the 5th gen glass sunroof swap. Hopefully this video is very informative to y'all that are actually getting this job done onto your cars. Now this job does take a bit more skills and knowledge to get it done, as well as tooling, but I truly believe that anyone with the right amount of patience could get this job done very easily. I just want to thank you guys for actually sticking to the end of this project, and if you guys would give this video a big thumbs up. I got plenty of projects, plenty of cars, so there's really content that could keep going on forever. I really appreciate all the support you give me, because you keep me motivated to keep pushing out videos. Even though I know I've been slacking a little bit, but that will surely change. So that's it for now, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Alright?